so excited to just be here in this space at the Grand Ole Opry House in Nashville, Tennessee. Jody, I mean, have you taken it all in yet?
I haven't. I cannot wait for this evening's event.
I cannot.
I just can't. The history that's here is just amazing.
Well, you know what? I can't think of a better place to celebrate our 25th year of just advocating and growing and sharing how much there is to adult education and the need for adult education. I like to tell everyone, adult education truly does touch the pain points of every crisis there is here in our country today, and I'm a firm believer of that. But I know you are as well. You have been a part of COABE for such an extended amount of time and has done a lot for our initiatives, our mission, and just spreading how much we can help move the needle or move ahead with adult education. But your career began long far before COABE. So what brought you to the field of adult education?
Okay, so what brought me to the field of adult education was my husband had left for the military, for the Air Force, and at that time we were just engaged. I finished my school degree, which was in elementary education, and then left to go be with him. And when we got to the base and to Florida, actually, there wasn't a position, it wasn't the right time, and they went through a county system, and I couldn't find a job in education. And so one of his officers on base had said, hey, I have this position that I'd like your wife to go look at. And it's teaching, it's a federal position. And so I went there, and I had really no idea where I was going, to be honest. And I can remember Tom drove me there, and he said, I'll wait for you to come out. And I was at a federal prison. And I went through those gates. And
that was an experience,
I'm sure. That was an experience in itself. Went through all the security, and they said, hey, we're here to interview you. We'd like you to come and to work in adult education. We, looked at your resume, we looked at your background, and I said, well, I'll look at giving it a try. I came out 3.5 hours later. I had no idea it was going to take that long, but my poor husband was sitting in his car, still in Florida, waiting for me. And I went back home, and I didn't know how that went. I didn't know, where it would go from there. But within a week, I got a call and said, we, would like you to come and teach this adult education class. What we really would like is for you to be our new reading specialist, and to work with the inmates to help them learn to read. And so I did it. You're 22 years old, and you think, I can accomplish anything. I can tackle this. I can do it. And it ended up being one of the most rewarding positions. That I don't think I would have gotten the reward in the elementary school as I did being in the prison.
And one thing is, they're working in a correction space, and that's where I am, right? It's like a hidden gem. Adult education is covered, and then defined correctional education, it is a hidden gem. And when you tell people about working inside of corrections, being an educator, there's a lot of trepidations, right? There's a lot of, I'm not sure, I'd rather work with. But you said it was rewarding.
It was.
I have found that it is very rewarding. But why do you think it was rewarding?
I need to tell you too, I had to go through correctional training first. They always said I'm a correctional officer first and a teacher second. So I went to Glencoe, Georgia. I had to go through firearms, self-defense, all of that. So it was a whole new world for me. But I think it's rewarding because then it was a time that I learned that the adults were there and they wanted to learn. And in the federal system, there's a part where they have to go for the first 120 days. And a lot of the inmates would then leave because they were done, they met the requirement,
right.
And then they came back on their own. And they came back on their own because someone wasn't telling them how to do it, but they wanted to do it. And so when those individuals came back and they had such desire, it was just amazing to me. I mean, they wanted me to sit down and show them how to read and to help them get their GED. And they told me their stories, and so many of them had horrible backgrounds with their life. Some of them told me that they had more of a life in prison than they ever had on the outside, and if they had to go back out, they didn't know what they would do, because here they had a warm bed to sleep in, and they had medical, and they had food every day. And those are things they didn't experience on the outside. And so education was just the other missing part in their lives that they wanted to get. They really wanted to do something that they could be proud of.
And you know what I have found as inside of corrections, working in education, we help people realize a lot about themselves, a lot of their own potential and their own gifts, because you know I hear oftentimes, oh my gosh, I didn't know that I could be able to do X, Y, Z, because no one had ever challenged them. And the joy that comes from that realization that I too can do is so much. It's just, it pulls at my heart, and that's why I love working in corrections. And every time someone earns their high school equivalency, every time someone writes that first letter back to their family, all of it is the same to me. It's like those gains really does make an impact in an individual lives. And I also love how it goes back to make an impact in their families and their communities. But you didn't stop there. You went on. What did you do next?
My husband finished his term in the service, and we decided we were moving back home to Ohio. And when I went home, I substituted for a little bit in schools, but it was always nagging at me that I really wanted to be back with the dogs. And so I didn't know about adult education in our communities, but I went looking for it. And I went to our local career center, and I found out that they had an adult education program. And so I applied, and I applied to be a teacher. And so I started, again, working with adults, and they were coming in and to hear their stories, and they were from my community. And they were there for so many reasons, to help their children, to make their life better, to get a better job. And so I just really love that. And I just always believed that I could continue to help them in many, many ways. And so when I had the opportunity to go back to school and get my master's, I decided I was going into administration and supervision. Okay. And in doing that, I decided to go ahead and take a position to move up into as a program administrator. And that was a difficult position for me because I loved my students. And I thought, I'm such a part of that. I felt like such a part of that completion, and a part of their lives. And how could I get that same joy out of being an administrator? And then I realized that the joy came from making sure that my teachers could be the best that they could be too. That they were getting professional development, and they were getting the backing to help those individuals, and that they were the right people to really understand and be passionate about adult education and helping those individuals. And so that's where I kind of went. I went from the classroom to the administration, and then to professional development, teaching teachers, because then I had the opportunity to go and say, what else can I do? And I thought, wow, how much better could it be if I could to just go in and to really work with teachers and administrators and help them to grow their adult education programs, and to serve more and more students. And so that's kind of what my journey has been in adult education.
I love hearing what you said, because at one time I was inside of the school system, right, working and being able to see individuals make their achievements along the way, and then you kind of step into the administration role, and at my level, then you're out of the school, you're kind of downtown somewhere, and it's hard. But what I have found, and I think you have to be the most joy, is that we can still make impact, right? Because we also know some of the things that the teachers needed, the development or the professional opportunities that were lacking, and be able to advocate for changes so that teachers can be more effective in the classroom, right? And not effective in their teaching strategies, but giving them the tools and the resources a lot of times that we lack in adult education programs. But you didn't want to stop there, so you were doing a professional development, but somehow you started getting involved with your state association, and then you came on over to COABE. What was that walk about?
Well, that role with leadership I enjoyed, and someone approached me from the board. I was a part of my state association already, and I was so passionate about professional development that one of my goals was to always go to national or state conference, and I took as many teachers as I could. If at 10, 12, I wanted them to benefit from the training and the support and the networking that they could get at a conference. And so with that, I decided the next step was to run for the board. and spent a few years in different positions on the board, and then moved up to the presidency. And I found that I really enjoyed that, and I enjoyed that leadership role and helping to bring everyone together and helping everyone to be as passionate as they could for adult education, and to supporting our teachers and our administrators and our programs, and supporting our students. And
what year was that you came on to COABE?
To COABE, I came on to COABE in 2013.
Wow, so 11 years now.
11 years now.
Yes.
31 years in education, in adult education.
Awesome. Thank you so much for all that you have done. But when you first started in 2013, there was roughly how many members?
About 1,300 members.
1,300, and today we set at 50,300 plus.
Isn't that amazing?
Right? So that has been tremendous growth. But what do you attribute that growth to?
I attribute it to just amazing, wonderful individuals who are so passionate about what they do, coming to us from all these different states, putting together this great leadership team in terms of our CEO, Sharon Bonney.
Yes.
Her passion for adult education and for COABE and for what COABE represented is, I think, what got all of us so excited about being a part of the board and the mission. And so the individuals that were there, they were doing just rewarding and amazing work within the field, and all different areas of the field: workplace education, correctional ed, vocational education,
professional development. Yes.
And so the opportunity to meet and work with everybody in those different walks of life, and to come together and to strategize in order to find better ways of supporting our adult education programs, to bring professionalism to our programs, to bring advocacy and funding. And that's a scary thing, when you come in the advocacy part.
Right.
And I can remember my first time going to DC and meeting with legislators.
I was so intimidated,
right?
right?
It was so intimidating. And even going back then, I even thought about that at the state level. I was an advocacy chair on my state association, and trying to get individuals to see the importance of advocacy and what it could really do for adult education, for our adult learners, and bring money and professionalism to our field, that it was so important. And it was such an important goal and role in COABE. And that's why I decided that I would run then for vice president membership, and had the opportunity to do that position and work with all of our regional reps to build the members up. And we really saw the growth, but that there was really a lot of power in numbers.
Yes.
And that having those numbers and these individuals and building our membership meant that we had more voice.
Yes.
And so when we went to talk to our legislators, they listened.
Mm-hmm.
And the stronger we became, and the better advocates we became. And I think it's really helped put us where we are now, so that we have this voice for our students and for our programs, and so that they can continue to grow and we can continue to help these individuals, because everybody deserves a second chance, and these individuals, they need that. And
Definitely.
we've seen the most amazing stories from our students.
We
right?
have, the story we heard this morning, and please, if you haven't went back and watched our general session and seen our Student of the Year, I mean, I'm always sitting over there trying not to cry, but the tears are welling up, because the stories are amazing.
They are.
Of how much our students persist through their challenges, their barriers, to be able to achieve their dream. But you said something about COABE. We're here from all different backgrounds and walks in this field of adult education, professional development, corrections. There are so many strands. But the one thing about the leadership of COABE, it is made of the people.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The educators, the one that are out here doing the ground day-to-day work. And I think that's also what builds to our relationship, because we are the people, right? We are connecting with our members because we are in of ourselves doing the same work, trying to accomplish those same goals. And you've been a part of the walk for the last 11 of the 25 years and seen that tremendous growth. Where do you see us going next for the next 25 years? What would you like to see?
What would I like to see? I would like to see the funding come through to really support adult education in the way that it deserves to be funded. I would like to see an opportunity for more in terms of professionalism of the field, in terms of certification for adult education, and definitely more full-time instructors and administrators in programs, that the money could be there so that we could have full-time teachers, and that we can do more and build on those adult education programs, because there's so many individuals that are not being served, that are having waiting lists or they can't find the program, and we need more awareness, and we need more advocacy, and we need to support our teachers and our programs. So I would hope that in these next 25 years, we see the field of adult education becoming more professionalized and recognized, and that we can continue to support those adult learners as they go and they grow and go on to post-secondary education or to work, and they are better representatives for their families, and they build, they get their children to respect education and see where that can take them.
I couldn't agree more with you, Jody. The field of adult education is such a needed field with some of the most passionate people there are working in it, and most of them are part-time. Mm-hmm. They're working 2 to 3 jobs just like our learners, right? And a lot of them are even volunteers, just doing it out of the goodness of their heart, trying to make an impact on society and in their community. But these teachers just work as hard as any K-12 teacher, right?
Yes, they do.
And they try to fill the void for so many gaps and so many losses that people have experienced. They're trying to get in there and help them move beyond that space. And the impact that adult education has is so felt widespread, and it's not acknowledged enough. But to all of you educators and you teachers out there, I want to say thank you for the work that you do on a part-time basis, on a volunteer basis, on a whenever I'm needed basis. I just can't thank you enough. And in the next 25 years, Jody, I'm with you, that we do see that professionalization and recognition of adult education and the value that it has and the professional development that our educators need to continue to bring best practices into their classrooms. Well, Jody, I can't thank you enough for being a mentor to me and for all the service, the 31 years of service to adult education and your 11 years of service to COABE and the board, and just seeing its growth and development under your tutelage as president, and just for your collaboration and connection with all of our previous presidents and board members that had a significant role in where we are today. So from this Grand Ole Opry House here in the beautiful city of Nashville, Tennessee, Jody, I thank you for being with us here today, and I thank all of you out there for joining us from wherever you are.
And I just want to say one more thing.
Yes.
I want to say that you think that you thank me, but I think the real reward is what has been given to me, the opportunity to work with this board and these people, and to give back to the field that so desperately deserves everything they can get. I have grown so much, so it's really we continue to do what we do, not because it really is giving back to ourselves too. I mean, I just have such a passion for it, and I don't feel like it's me doing something. I feel like they've really given me so much, and so
it feeds you.
It does.
It feeds your soul. It really does. I couldn't agree more. Well, thank you again, Jody, so much for being here. Thank you, everyone out there, and from COABE to you, we appreciate everything that you do.